Hi yogis, welcome to Yoga with Nin. Today we have a yoga sequence for home working. So this will be particularly good for those of you who are sat at a desk all day, maybe in a makeshift type arrangement, or for those of you maybe who've been on your feet all day. For this practice, I think it would be best if you had your mat out this way so that you can follow along a bit more easily to me, because we're doing quite a lot of side stretches. With that said, let's begin. The first pose we're going to come into involves stretching of the neck and the jaw. So we're just going to take an inhale, rolling the shoulders back, straightening the spine, taking an inhale and exhaling the work thoughts for another day. And just taking your left hand, placing it behind your back so that it comes out and your hand is on the right hand side. And just clasp this left hand with your right. And look over with your head over your shoulder towards the right. Just having that nice stretch in the neck. Keeping your spine straight. Trying to bring your shoulder blades together. And then look back to center. And then tipping your right ear to your right shoulder. Feeling that, feels really nice. Unclenching your jaw. If you're still thinking about the day's activities. Coming back to center, and we're going to do that on the other side. So palms down on the mat, bringing your right arm over to the left ribs and clasping the right hand with your left. As we look over our left shoulder, coming back to center, we'll just tilt our left ear down to our left shoulder. Inhaling and exhaling, remember to breathe. And then palms down on the mat, come back to center, lifting your head up and your chin goes up to the ceiling. Again, unclenching that jaw. And bringing your chin down to the center and then back down to your chest. And feeling that nice stretch in the neck and upper back. And then we'll come back to seating in easy pose. And then what we're going to do is just cross the legs in the other direction. So whatever shin you had in front, I'd like you to swap that around. Sitting up straight. Taking an inhale, bringing the palms up to the sky. Just bringing the palms down to your right hand side and twist. And hold on with your left palm on your right knee. And look over your right shoulder. Inhale, coming back up to center. Now bringing your palms down to the left. Left palm on the ground, right palm on the left knee. And look over your left shoulder. Feeling a lovely stretch there in the oblique area. And then bringing the palms round up to the sky. And then bringing them down to your knee. Just going to do a few seated cat-cows here. So we'll inhale and we curve the spine, bringing the chin to the chest, lengthening the neck, tailbone in. And exhale, bringing the chest out, shoulder blades together, opening our heart. Now coming into our next position, we're going to come into a tabletop pose and do some exercise on your wrists. So for those of you who are keyboard warriors, this will be particularly helpful. Now you can either do this in tabletop, which is where you are seated with your knees on the mat hip width apart and wrists out in front of you. Or you can kneel, which might be better for you. And what we're going to do is bring our wrists out in front, or our palms out in front. And we're just going to bring them down like this. And we're just going to bring them down to the mat. And then put pressure back onto our heels. And just feeling that lovely stretch through the wrists. Taking an inhale and an exhale. Sink deeper into the posture. Coming out of this pose, going back into tabletop pose. And then we're just going to come back into kneeling, just shaking our wrists out, just making the blood flow around, so that should feel like a nice counter stretch to any of that you'll be doing all day. And then we're going to do another exercise with our wrists, so bring the wrists out in front of you and just turning them backwards. And then we're going to bring our palms down to the mat again. And if tabletop's what works for you, this position, that's fine. But a deeper stretch you might be able to go into and stretch out your wrist this way. Just breathing into there. Lovely lengthening of the lower arms. A counter pose again to what you've been potentially doing all day if you work at a desk. Okay, taking an inhale, pressing down with the palms on the mat, pressing up with the seated area. Then just release the palms and just shake that out. Just briefly shake it out there, get the blood flowing. Then we're going to bring our palms down onto the mat and bringing our knees to their place underneath the hips, hip width apart. Tuck the toes in, bringing our seated area back and lifting it up to the sky into our first downward dog. So making sure that your shoulders are away from your ears, palms pressing down, and just pedal it out here briefly. Stretching nicely, pressing your chest into your thighs. And then we're going to come forward onto the mat, so bringing our feet in between our palms. We're going to hang here in what we call a ragdoll position. So bend your knees if you need to here, and just bring your head to a neutral position, feeling that nice stretch on the lower spine. And maybe you'll like to bring your elbows folded, so your hands meet the opposite elbow. And just go from side to side, getting the blood to circulate again. If you've been standing on your feet all day, this is a really nice stretch. And then slowly, palms on the mat, we're going to slowly come up, vertebra by vertebra, into a mountain pose, Tadasana. Standing up straight here for a second, just grab your center, engaging the knees and the thighs, making sure this is an active pose, shoulders away from the ears. And then I'm just going to come so you can see me. What I'd like you to do is bring your palms above your head and grab your right wrist with your left hand. And from here, feet hip width apart. I'd just like you to come and sway over to the right hand side and stretch out your wrists and your ribs. Coming back into center. I'd like you to switch the wrist over so that your right hand reaches your clasps onto your left wrist and just tilting over to the left hand side. Exhale. Coming back to center. Now bringing your left foot behind your right. I'd like you to swap your wrists round and do exactly the same again. So tilt to your right hand side, finding a nice stretch. And then back up to center. Uncrossing the feet and then cross the right foot behind the left. Get your center, if you wobble, don't worry. And then just reach over to your left hand side and feel the stretch on your right ribs. Exhale, coming back to center. Now we're going to move into a pose that I call, well, everyone calls in yoga, temple pose. So stand with your feet hip width apart and just from here begin to squat by bending your knees, hands clasping onto the knees, and bring the right shoulder down towards the floor and look over your left shoulder. Back to center, then bringing your left shoulder down to the floor and your right shoulder back. Feels a really nice stretch in the hips here and in the inner thighs. And back to center. And what I'd like you to do now is crossing your wrists, just bringing your palms up and standing straight, and this is what we call goddess pose. And bringing the palms down to the knees. We're just going to stand up slowly, straightening the knees. And here, for our next pose, we're going to stand up straight with our spine and bringing our feet out a bit further and our legs straight. And from here, I'd like you to lift yourself up at the waist and bend down slowly. Slowly does it. Into a forward fold. Palms down on the mat at first, just so you can find your stability. Inhale and an exhale. Now interlace your fingers behind your back and bringing your palms down towards the mat. Just taking a few inhales here and a few breaths. Feeling that lovely stretch along the calves and the hamstrings, opening up. Slowly bringing your palms down to the mat and pushing up vertebra by vertebra. From here, take a warrior two pose. So, with your left leg, left foot, bring that out to the front of the mat. With your right foot, have that at about a 45-degree angle. Find your center, straighten your spine, palms parallel with the mat, and then bend into your left knee. Warrior two, shoulder blades been brought together. Take an inhale and an exhale, then bringing the left arm down to your left thigh and your right arm over your head. So there should be a really nice line, hopefully somewhere from your right toes to your right fingers, and just pressing in with your left forearm to your knee, making sure the left knee is at about a 90-degree angle above the ankle. Inhale, coming back up to warrior two. Just going to straighten our palms. And then from here, we'll bring our left foot in and then our right foot out and bend into the right knee. Then bringing your palms out so that they're parallel to the mat. Spine straight. Looking forward towards your right arm. Shoulder blades together. Pressing down through your heels. Now bringing the right arm, the right forearm down to the right knee, and slowly bringing your left arm up over your head, and again a nice line should form somewhere from your left toes to your left fingers. And then bringing your left arm parallel to the mat, cartwheeling up with your right, and straighten your right leg. Now bringing your feet to the front of the mat again. Going to do forward fold again. So making sure you're in a triangular type position with your legs. I want you to lift up on your waist, back straight, coming down towards the mat with your head. Slowly does it, not too fast. And then if you can, and it's available to you, wrap your fingers around your big toe. And just inhale and breathe here. Inhale, bringing your palms to the mat, pushing up vertebra by vertebra. What I'd like you to do now is to come out again with your right foot facing the front of the mat and your left leg remains straight, and just bringing the right hand up to the sky and bringing your left down to the back of your left thigh and stretching up through here, reverse warrior. Looking up to your right hand if you can, pressing down through the heels, getting your center in alignment. And then we'll come up and straighten your right leg. And then cartwheeling with your arms slowly, bringing your right hand to your right shin, and your left hand up to the sky. Will come forward in triangle pose, looking up to your left arm if that's available, and if it's possible, maybe coming down with your right palm to the ground, and just bringing your left shoulder back. Inhale, coming up, cartwheeling with the palms, bringing your feet into center. And now we're going to do that on the other side. Bringing your left foot out to the side of the mat, bending your left knee. Right arm goes towards your right thigh, the back of your right thigh. Then bringing your left hand up to the sky. We're going to do reverse warrior. Make sure that your left knee is at a 90-degree angle. Just stretching up, looking up to your palm. And then straightening your left leg and cartwheeling down with your palms into triangle pose. And again, you might be able to reach your shins with your left hand and look up towards the right palm. And if it's available, you could come down even further, keeping your shoulder blades back, pressing down to the mat with your left hand. Coming up. Slowly, feet to the front of the mat, hands on the hips. We're now from this pose going to bring our right foot out to the side and bending our left knee in a squat type position. Come down to the mat, straightening your right leg. And this is called Skandasana. Again, it's a really nice hip opener. Bring your left elbow towards the left knee, pushing it out, and try and flex your right foot so to protect the knee. Coming up to center, pressing down through the feet, palms onto the mat. We'll now do this on the other side, bending your right knee, bending into it and making sure that you secure it with your right elbow, and straighten your left leg and flex your left foot. And just open your chest here, making sure you flex that hamstring. Slowly stabilizing yourself, bring your left foot to the mat, come up again into center, and we'll do that on the other side again. Bending your left knee, flexing your right foot, and then we're bringing our right hand up and opening our chest, taking this a little bit deeper. Right palm comes down, stabilizing us. Bring our right foot down to the mat, pressing in, coming back up to center, and then we're going to bend with our right knee. Again, flexing our left foot, keeping our left leg straight, using the elbow, right elbow for support, and just lift the left palm off the ground, opening the chest and look up as we go deeply into that pose. And taking an inhale and an exhale. Bringing the left palm down to the mat. Step into the center again. And now slowly we're going to come to the front of the mat. Palms either side of your right leg, your right foot. Bending the knee. We're going to step back into plank pose. Pressing down with the palms. Bringing the seated area so that it's straight with your back into plank. Engaging the navel, pressing down with the palms. Calming down slowly, bending the elbows into the ribs. Bring your chest down to the mat, your chin, your forehead, untucking the toes, pressing up into cobra, pressing down through the palms, tucking your toes under, going back into the seated area, and come up into a downward facing dog. Pedaling it out, pressing down with your palms, head hangs in neutral position. Now I'd like you to lift from here your right leg off the ground and bring your right knee towards your right wrist. And straighten your left leg and untuck the left toe. And bringing your right foot towards the left wrist. And sink into a pose we call pigeon pose. And you may need some props here to help you. And your leg might not, or your shin might not be parallel with the top of the mat. But just stay here for a second or two, breathing deeply into your hips. I really like this pose, and coming down onto your forearms, if that's available and within your practice. And pressing into your palms, we're going to bring our right foot back to meet the left, tucking the toes under, pressing up with the seated area, pressing down through the feet, pedaling it out. We're now going to lift our left leg up to the sky and bring our left knee to meet our left wrist. Bringing our right foot back, straightening it out. And bring your left foot to meet the right wrist. Now, if it feels completely different, one side or the other, that's totally normal. You might need to block this side, you might not. Just pressing down through the hips into this pigeon pose, bringing the shoulders back, opening the chest, and if it's available, coming down onto your forearms, and maybe your head might be able to reach the mat. Taking a few deep breaths here. Pressing down into the forearms if you're on the mat, pressing up into the palms. And then bring your left leg back to meet the right, and we'll just stabilize in tabletop position before we come down into a kneeling pose. And then bring our feet out in front of us. And this final bit we shall do is a butterfly. Fold, so if you haven't done this before, bringing the soles of your feet together, and your pelvis and your heels can be as far apart as is available to you, and bring your knees out to the side so that you're able to move them a bit like butterfly wings. Then grabbing onto your feet, just bringing your chest forward, back straight towards the feet. And this might be how far and deep you want to go, or you might be able to go a bit further, bringing the chest down to the feet. Don't bend the back so that you're tipping forward like that, just keeping the back nice and straight. That's more important. That's the aim for you today. This is a really, really nice hip opener. Taking a final inhale, exhale, letting go, bringing your spine up straight, palms to the mat, and let the feet go in front of you. And just come down onto the mat into our final resting pose. Slowly come down to the mat. Into our final resting pose, Shavasana. And just relax here. Letting our toes go out to the side. Inhaling through your body. Bringing yourself to the center and thanking yourself for all the effort you've made to spend time on your mental and physical well-being, and giving up the keyboard or standing on your feet serving others, just for this nice relaxing moment. Feel the breath going down into your jaw, unclenching your jaw. Feeling it penetrate your abdomen, your stomach, your hips, your pelvis, and your calves, and your feet if you've been standing on them all day. Just relax. You've earned this. And slowly coming back to consciousness, wiggling your feet, wiggling your palms. Wiggling your legs, wiggling your arms. And slowly come over to the side. Palms down onto the mat. And push up into a seated position where we started, and just notice how you might feel compared to how you started. Rolling, looping the shoulders, centering ourselves, taking an inhale, palms above the head, and we bow forward and say Namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis. I really hope I have served you mentally and physically to get out of the work vibe. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or offer any comments below. I really hope you feel refreshed and revitalized and ready to enjoy maybe your evening or morning, depending on what your work patterns are. Namaste.